This is Abhishek Bhattacharya, a co-founder of Whirl, India's only blockchain fintech platform, and now we are expanding globally. During this entire course of this talk, you are going to hear two different organizations or brands from my end, which is Whirl and Brew Finance. As we go, it would get very clear as to why these two brands exist or what are the two use cases and how do they connect together. And you will understand that what kind of pioneering uh, things we're trying to do, and this entire use case is all about when we are talking about blockchain for social impact. So that is what today's talk is going to be about. Blockchain for social impact is a domain that many have not heard about a lot yet because most of the blockchain based or Web3 based products or platforms that you're more aware of, they have largely been for either cryptocurrencies or trading, etc. But when it comes to social impact, people have started hearing about certain things being done for the underbanked or the unbanked population. That is what we are exactly going to be following today. We'll explore that what all things can be done and what exactly Whirl or Proof Finance we have been doing to take this forward. Blockchain for social impact is critical because we all understand that blockchain or Web3 based products and trading and cryptocurrencies, all of that together can drive a really lot of profits and all other things and gimmicks that can come with such a domain. But every such technology should also have a social impact factor. And there are many ideas that you can implement in terms of social impact. And implementing blockchain, one of the most industry 4.0 technologies, most recent ones, is a very good idea to make it work there. Today, hence, my purpose is to discuss my direct experience from building India's first agri-lending platform on blockchain. We'll also see what some other use cases can be around. We'll just have a quick discussion about that in this very short talk. And I will also share with you that this is not only India's first agri-lending platform, but it is globally the largest issuer of tokenized assets on any kind of blockchain technology. And this covers or this benefits farmers, a segment that is usually thought of as very non-tech savvy. So whenever we are talking about blockchain and for farmers, you would think that even advanced computer science users or even advanced mobile phone users or tech savvy people are still not able to understand blockchain technology to the fullest. Do farmers really understand that? But the point is that to benefit from this technology, you do not have to be a coder. You do not have to just start writing smart contracts. All you have to do is just get benefited from the technology. And there are many avenues to make that happen. That's what we're going to explore today. And you're going to understand that what can be done in this kind of a segment. And if you belong to any other segment, but you have a social impact factor, you can start thinking about blockchain as well. I'm Abhishek Bhattacharya, one of the co-founders at Whirl and Brew Finance. I have been honored on the Forbes 30 under 30 list again for the social impact category because Forbes recognized our work in the field of social impact, where we are helping farmers using blockchain technology. Apart from that, I'm usually available online on LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. These are my credentials. Please feel free to reach out. I've been there in the blockchain technology domain since the last approximately 5.5 to 6 years. Have covered more than 2 startups in this domain, have written books, have taught thousands and thousands of people from across the world. This is what I do, and I really believe that you can benefit not just from the idea that I discussed today here in this talk, but also please feel free to get in touch and even beyond BeMore Festival and make sure that if you are looking to get into blockchain technology, you definitely talk to other people. And believe me, when I talk about blockchain technology as a domain, I have seen a lot of people are very open to helping. So feel free to take out all those opportunities. At this festival, BeMore Festival, I didn't think that there could be more appropriate a position or an avenue to speak more about blockchain technology, especially for social impact factors. So I definitely thank BeMore to give me this stage. ADPList has been doing wonderful work. I also mentor on ADPList, the platform, and I've been able to get in touch with a lot of people, a lot of very good, very talented people on the platform itself who are eager and yearning to learn. And I am happy that I've been able to share some of my nuggets. And I'm just increasing that range by sharing all of this via this talk at the BeMore Festival. And I really hope that you stay throughout the festival and get to learn a lot of the things that are happening that are being covered on the agenda here. So let's get started with today's topic. So, starting with some numbers, and let us try to understand the gravity of this situation or the gravity of this entire domain that we've picked where we are implementing blockchain technology. Just talking about numbers, you have to understand that farmers, first of all, is a huge segment, right? Agriculture is an important part of many, you can say, many markets or many countries. And many of the countries' GDPs depend on agriculture. Even in India, I always talk about India because we started in India. Now we are going global, and India is a very agriculture-focused country. And sometime back, few years back, agricultural's share of India's GDP was approximately 15%. It has gone down below that in the recent years. That's sad, right? And there has to be technological improvements to be able to bring that back on track. It's not just growing more food or harvesting more crops is not just the answer. Making those processes better, making it better for the farmers to be able to farm out better products, harvest better products, is also one of the core areas where we can really work on. And technology is always there to help. So just talking about the entire numbers here that we've been able to target here, more than 25 million such farmers exist in just a simple country like India. When we go beyond into other markets, say Africa or the US or even any of the European countries, agriculture, again, as I said, forms a huge part of any country's market or GDP or industry. When we combine them, there are millions and millions of farmers. And just talking about this one segment, with World, we became one of the first such agri-fintech startups to focus on that segment. We globally became the first global platform for any kind of blockchain, agri-financing on blockchain, using blockchain technology. And in Asia, we are the first and the only platform for asset-backed lending. Now, please remember here, when I talk about asset-backed lending, it can be any asset. It just does not have to be crops. It does not have to be the grains that are harvested by the farmers in that country. It can be any asset against which loans are given. To be honest, this is where you would see gradually when I come to Brew Finance that how Brew Finance is paving the path here, starting from agricultural crops, but also it can has so much avenues in other assets such as gold, such as exotic assets like wine, art, things people store, things people mortgage and take loan against, even real estate or securities or receivables. You see, this is an entire gamut of assets that are being lent against in the real world. That's why these are called real world assets. And this entire domain is called real world asset financing or fintech or finance against such global real world assets. This world, what World does is it's a platform that connects banks, warehouses, the farmers themselves, all of them on a single platform, and then make sure that the loan gets to the farmer at a very fast speed, at a very low cost in real time. That's where things change for the farmers in the farmers' lives. I'll just come to that, some of these numbers there as well. And we became one of the first such organizations to provide real time agri loans in India. Underwriting has been a huge problem. And when I talk about India, and if you're not based out of India, you have to understand this is not an India focused case study only, because now it is, we are finding it very simple to go global because the entire product just suits, just works, because the whole criteria or whole idea, the core behind this entire concept is social impact. And it covers any kind of unbanked or underbanked population, which you'll see very soon when I come to more avenues and especially what Brew Finance is trying to do. Talking about a bit more numbers, in India itself, more than 138 million farm holders. We have, I've already covered that India's economy or agricultural share in India's economy has gone below 15%. The entire government has also been focused on doubling the farmers' income, which is why when you're trying to do, especially if there are entrepreneurs listening this talk from India, you have a great opportunity there as well. Because when a government has this kind of an objective, say doubling the farmers' income, or whatever there could be an objective by the Indian government, you have to understand that there would be programs as well. And I will come to that soon as well, that how such governmental programs have helped us throughout our way. We are a bootstrapped organization. We have been there since the last 3.5 years. We have not raised any money. The reason is that when your objectives align with others' objectives as well, there are CSR funds, there are organizations like the United Nations Development Program, then there's Government of India, it could be a government in another country as well. All of them really come together to help you. So you have to understand that how to benefit from these programs, because they have the same objective. You align your product and goals to that, and then you are going to be good to go, because they're going to help you not just with money, but also by helping you reach to those markets. That's a big help that you can get. Let's talk a bit about the model itself, so that the whole foundation is formed as we go through the topic. This is called warehouse receipt financing model. As you can see, WHR stands for warehouse receipt. It's a very simple term, and this entire financing product that you see is not a recent product. It's not one of the products that we've brought into picture. In fact, as a fun fact, warehouse receipt finance has been one of the oldest lending products known to mankind. When we are talking about such a product, the only problem there has been, it has been largely manual. Also, the banks, who are the ones who give loans against these assets, they have been facing billions of dollars of frauds throughout decades. Many banks have even pulled out from these assets, because they just don't want to finance those assets because of the existence of such a massive number of frauds. Let us quickly take a look at the kinds of frauds. You can take a look at the list here, and this forms the basis, the problem statement of why blockchain was even used for this kind of a use case. NSCL scam in India, that's in Indian rupees. It would be more than $1 billion at that time, because it was 2015. Then we can take a look at Qingdao scandal, which is $650 million. It was in China, and a lot of banks faced a lot of frauds at that time. Access World frauds were from nickel receipt frauds, the nickel metal. And Citibank and Standard Chartered, such big names, faced humongous frauds and scams at that time. Many banks throughout the entire system, all these decades, have faced humongous problems in this entire domain. And that is why we felt that blockchain technology can be a very sure shot answer to that. And hence we implemented blockchain technology, and it has been going very, very well, which is what we are covering today. So coming back to, again, the model, the warehouse receipt finance model works in this fashion. It's a very simple model. The farmer will harvest their crop. Right after harvesting the crop, they have two ways to go ahead. Number one, directly go in the market and sell off their crops. Number two, they can store their crops in a nearby government or private warehouse, a custodian, and then sell the crops later on. We heavily discourage them from doing the first, and we heavily encourage them in doing the second, going for the second option. Why? Not just in India, but in any other country you would see, right after harvesting, the prices of these crops are at the bottom lowest. You get pennies on the dollar for every kilogram of crop that you sell. On the other hand, why do we discourage them to do this, and rather we encourage them to store their crops in a nearby partner warehouse? Is because if you wait and if you sell these crops in the market after about, say, 3, 4, 5, or 6 months, the net increase in your realizable income grows by up to 25 to 30% in countries like India. It grows to 300% in areas, in countries in Africa. That's a humongous increase in their income. So no reason that why would they go for distress selling of the produce right after harvesting. So this entire term means, why distress sell is it called? It's because you're selling in distress. You're a smallholder or a marginal farmer, and you want to be able to earn more, to be able to provide for your family. But you're getting pennies on the dollar, and you are not well to do. You are waiting for the harvesting to happen because you did not have money to spend. Now, right after harvesting, you could not wait, and you sold off your crops immediately to get that money. But what you do not understand is just waiting for 2.5, 3 more months will give you more than 30, 40% in your increase in your income. Now, that's an increment that we want to bring in the lives of farmers. Earlier also, this model has been existing, but that has always resulted in more than 13 to 15 days worth of wait for getting these loans. They are not well to do, and such a kind of wait is going to be a problem always. On the other hand, if they're not doing this, if they go ahead and they directly try to take loans from, not from banks, but other money lenders, that means that they are going to be getting interest rates of up to 30 to 35%. Now that becomes a further huge problem for them, rather than just not selling the crops in the first place, or rather just selling the crops in the first place and getting those pennies on the dollar, rather than taking a loan at 35% per annum. But then those are the money lender Shylocks that what we want them to avoid at all costs. That is why this kind of a model works. You are able to store your crops in a government or a private warehouse with a custodian, and then 2.5, 3 months later, you get to sell the crops in the market at much higher rates. And during this time, with banks on our platform, we are at the lowest interest rate in the entire country of around 9% per annum. So that brings in a lot of benefit to the farmer. So the model works this way: you harvest the crops, you store them in a warehouse, and then you immediately, on one click of a button in a multilingual Android or an iPhone app, you can just request for a loan and in real time. The banks, because they are also partners, they're also on the platform, they would immediately get the request and they can process the loan request quite immediately, hence making the loan real time. That's how this really works. That's how the entire platform works. But in between, there are many more security features as well, for higher order loans, higher value loans. But then again, we will come to that soon. But this helps both the sides of the platform: the farmers in taking real time low cost loans, and on the other hand, it helps the banks in giving out these loans in the priority sector segment, and they can do that without the fear of frauds at any cost. We've already gone through this, that the entire problem behind this was not just billion-dollar frauds, but high intermediary cost. This resulted into a much higher TAT for the loans. That's why the 13 to 15 days that you had to wait for. The system has been largely manual, and the grassroots impact has been very, very low. As a matter of fact, earlier, without our system, the entirety of the agri-finance, post-harvest finance happened for 95% to traders and less than 5% to farmers. In our time, we have given more than $7 million worth of loans. In that, more than 90% is to farmers. The real low grassroots impact is completely visible in such a case, in such a platform. Coming to a bit of technicality as we move towards the second part of the talk, we are talking about blockchain. And now this part is going to be very much more interesting for people who are more technically motivated. You want to understand that if you're talking about blockchain, but then I have heard about Bitcoin and Ethereum, everything is so public there. I send you a Bitcoin transaction, anyone is going to be able to see the transaction. All these questions come up in every time that I share this use case with anyone. So let's take a quick look on the technical factors as to which blockchain, why blockchain, etc. There are multiple types of blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum being blockchains of public nature. We do not use that directly. I'll come to that soon. Then there are private blockchains as well, which go very much to a centralized system, so we do not use that either. Then we combine both of them and we use a hybrid form of a blockchain. We'll soon discover why. Talking about the types of blockchains, public blockchains like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, you know that it is completely economically incentivized. There are people or computers or entities who are miners on the blockchain platform, and then they mine coins on the platform. They mine blocks, and because of which they get rewarded with Bitcoin or Ethereum, the native coin of the particular blockchain. This entire process also delays the process a bit. It also makes it quite time taking, etc. And the throughput is also a very big issue. In our case, when we are already trying to make the loan real time, using a public blockchain would anyway have deterred that effect, because it's going to take quite some time. But it's not that we are not moving to a public blockchain, but then it's a different use case. We'll come to that soon. Private blockchains we are not using. We're going to skip that. Consortium blockchains we're talking about is a hybrid form of blockchain where we are able to these blockchains are a combination of public and private blockchains, and this is where you can bring in other stakeholders on the platform as well. Like in our case, we work with banks, we work with government warehouses, where they have to be nodes on the platform as well. Again, here an interesting fact is that many believe that banks are completely against blockchain, or especially governments are